40 Thrive. 40 episodes. Whoa. Hi ladies, this is Keanu Reeves. Just wanted to send a message to congratulate you on your accomplishment. I love women over 40 because they are the smartest, sexiest, most amazing, capable, and powerful creatures on the planet. Thank you for inspiring and celebrating them so beautifully. Much love from me to you, ladies. All right.
You're listening to the 40 Thrive Podcast, the show created for women 40 and beyond, ready to shake things up. And now, your host, Jackie MacDougall.
Welcome to this special episode of the 40 Thrive Podcast. Why is it so special? Well, for two reasons. Number one, it's our 40th episode. So, we got to celebrate that, right? And number two, today's episode features you, the listener. Every single episode of the 40 Thrive Podcast has you in mind. It is my personal mission to connect you to the best experts and the most inspiring action takers. It's time to open up conversations that elevate your life and the lives of those around us. I want to send a huge thanks to those listeners who sent in audio clips of their favorite guests and topics. I cannot wait to share them with you. But before we do, just a super quick reminder to subscribe to the 40 Thrive Podcast. If you're listening online, you're likely doing it from your phone or tablet. Did you know that Apple products come with the podcast app already installed? Just start typing POD in your search bar. You'll see that beautiful purple app pop up. Search 40 Thrive in the app and hit subscribe. It is so easy. And if you don't have an Apple product or you prefer a different podcast app, there are lots of great ones in your app store. Plus, the 40 Thrive Podcast can be found on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all the usual podcast places. We work extremely hard at the 40 Thrive Podcast to provide you a show that enhances your life. This one small act of subscribing can make all the difference in helping the show grow and support even more women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. Thank you so much. Okay, back to the good stuff.
Hello, 40 Thrive. This is Chris Hemsworth, better known as the Mighty Thor. Yes, you're welcome. I just wanted to leave you a message to congratulate you on 40 episodes, and thank you for talking about my most favorite thing in the world, women over 40. Yum.
Our first listener feature is a twofer. Lisa and Julie both were fans of episode 19 with Amy Porterfield. So let's start with Lisa. Lisa Malcom is a modern-day marketer living in the Florida Keys who just jumped on the podcast bandwagon with the launch of her show, Kickin' the Yes. Hear what Lisa thinks about my interview with Amy Porterfield.
Hi, Jackie, and happy 40th to 40 Thrive. This is Lisa Malcom, and I'm here to tell you about one of my favorite podcasts with 40 Thrive, and that was episode 19 with Amy Porterfield. One of the things that really resonated with me is some of the things that Amy said during that podcast. And one is stop the comparison game. It's a soul sucker. And isn't that the truth? We all try to be like someone else when in reality we are the most beautiful version of ourselves. So it's important to be you while moving forward in your own business. The other things I liked was she was always about action, and she stays in a place of action. So when it comes down to business, she made a point of putting it out there that everything she does is full of value and action, and it's not about the fluff. So those really resonated with me, and I think it's a reminder to all of us, be you, do you, and be the best that you can be. Just provide value and quality content as we move forward. So thank you, 40 Thrive, and thank you, Amy Porterfield.
Now, Julie got something totally different from the episode. Julie Sgroi is a longtime high school educator with a master's degree in educational leadership. Julie's also a travel agent at Map to Magic Vacations. If you're traveling to any Disney destination, Julie can get you there. Check out the show notes for a link to her Facebook page. Now let's hear what Julie thought of the episode.
Hi, my name is Julie, and I enjoy listening to the 40 Thrive podcast. I feel like each episode gives me a tidbit or two to take into my life and make some changes. And in particular, the podcast with Amy Porterfield about the value of vulnerability really had a couple of great messages that I still think about, and on a daily basis even. And one of the first things Jackie said in the podcast was, you're not failing, you're just at the beginning. And it was such a simple statement, but it makes so much sense. I think when you're in your 40s or beyond, you sometimes forget that you can still be at the beginning of something. And it's really something that I've looked at and thought about ever since I listened to the podcast. And I'm thinking in my stage in life, hey, this isn't failing, I'm just at the beginning of this. It's been really great. And then Amy shares a funny story about, just saying how you feel. You don't need to start something with, oh, this is awkward, or, oh, I don't look my best today. And we kind of make excuses always. And it's almost like negative talk or putting ourselves down before we have an opinion is like our musical intro. It made so much sense to me when I heard it. And I know now I'd pay a little bit more attention to, I don't need to tell you why I don't have makeup on, because I'm still fabulous.
Thank you so much, Lisa and Julie. I really appreciate your feedback. Next is Diane. Diane's a leadership consultant and social justice activist who has spent more than 2 decades working for equity and inclusion for all. She's soon launching her business, Educators Explore, bringing together people from diverse backgrounds, cultures, and personal and professional experiences to share their knowledge with others. Diane's favorite episode was episode 11, Thriving Through Transitions with Nancy Caralis.
I love being an active part of the 40 Thrive community. Not only has Jackie virtually introduced me to so many wonderful connections, she's invited these experts to share their wisdom with our tribe. They've helped reinforce our thoughts and practices, expand our knowledge base, and even helped us to stay sane with whatever is happening in our own lives. 40 Thrive is an incredible community with energizing, positive vibes for all who participate. Thriving Through Transitions with Nancy Caralis was a podcast that really resonated with me. As an educator and former and soon-to-be again business owner, I've practiced growth mindset for innovation and change for many years. Listening to this podcast was exactly what I needed, having just resigned from a job I loved with no backup plan in place before I listened. Hearing Nancy talk about considering every opportunity and not waiting for the if I could only get through moment before making a change reinforced that maintaining the status quo was not what I should be doing. Thank you, Nancy and Jackie. Like Nancy, I firmly believe that all experiences help you pivot to a new world. I can't wait to see what's in store for my new world.
To hear that episode or to learn more about Nancy Caralis, head on over to the show notes at 40thrive.com/episode 40. Okay, let's keep going. So Lori Caralis lives outside of Boston with her hubby and 2 kids. Lori's a social media and branding expert and the owner of Lori Caralis Consulting, a business she started, you guessed it, after she turned 40 and left the corporate world behind. Lori's favorite episode is episode 18, The Heart of Female Entrepreneurship with Katie Kremitzos.
I am in love with the 40 Thrive podcast. There's not one episode that I haven't liked, but the one that sticks out to me the most is The Heart of Entrepreneurship with Katie Kremitzos. Such an inspiring episode. Katie's a badass, she's done a ton, and she doesn't hold back in sharing her experiences. She's open, she's honest, and Jackie, as always, is brilliant in her interview. You feel like you're talking to old friends, old wise friends, that is, that give you lots of insight. My aha moment in this episode was when they talked about how every woman has the ability to design her own life and follow what brings you happiness. Wow. Super simple, but even as an entrepreneur myself, I really never thought about. I don't know how I didn't, but I hadn't. I can design my life, my business, any way I want, and I should be designing it in a way that makes me happy. Why else am I doing this? But wow, that one really took a while to sink in. But it has certainly made me think twice about how I run my business, how I design my work-life balance, and even who I accept as clients. I can truly say it's helped me make shifts in my life and business that have made me a happier person, which is amazing for me, but also for my husband and kids. If you're a woman over 40, especially if you're an entrepreneur, but even if you're not, you need to listen to the 40 Thrive podcast. It's a game changer.
Thank you so much, Lori, for that feedback. I love Katie Kremitzos. She, in fact, has been one of my coaches over the years, and I have learned a tremendous amount from her. Don't forget to check out that episode, and to learn more about Katie, head on over to 40thrive.com/episode 40. Our next featured listener is Dawn Marie Bornheimer. Dawn is a published author and frequent speaker on the topic of leadership. She strives to help support young girls and women to find their voice. Dawn believes that through mentoring and being mentored, we all play an essential role in our individual and collective success. Now, Dawn's favorite episode was actually a 2-part series with Moana Dixon. I met Moana several months ago through a mutual friend and really connected with her over business ownership and being over 40 and all of the stuff that goes with it. But what I didn't expect to talk about so much was Moana's experience on The Bachelor. Moana shares at great length, candidly, about her experience, which I have to say I was completely surprised by. And I think what she's been through and what she's learned from her experience is just inspiring. Let's hear what Dawn thinks about that 2-part episode.
I absolutely loved your conversation with Moana Dixon. It was actually a 2-part series, which was super fun. I was on a long drive back from Nova Scotia when she dove into talking about worthiness and feeling good enough, and just realizing that although she felt that she was showing up as her authentic self, she was often not. She was not fully present, and a lot of it came back to her worthiness. And I think it was such a beautiful reminder as she spoke about her conversation with her mom, that it is possible for us to now take care of, nurture, love, and recognize that little girl or little boy inside of us, right? So that person inside of us that's looking for that love, affection, that recognition, and to build ourselves up, to form what is our identity, to make ourselves a more whole person, right? To fill our cup up. And then we can show up in our genuine, authentic selves and speak our truth. I do really think she hit on another important note, which I think you actually helped her arrive at, is the idea of unpacking. You know, it's a continuous process for all of us, whether it's grief, whether it's loss, whether it's just a big shift or transformation. I mean, transformation is hard. That's why people repeat the same life over and over again. Or they live the same year over and over again. And so I think as we are all committed to growing and connecting, I think we have the opportunity to empower each other, but also to take the lessons along the way from the other strong women that we're observing or learning from, or guests that you have on your podcast, and say me too in certain cases, and recognize ourselves in some of their stories. And then use some of the lessons as tools in our toolkit, so that the next time something creeps up on us from our past, or a feeling resonates or something triggers us, we have the opportunity to leverage one of those tools in our toolkit, whether that's reaching out to a friend, whether that's turning on a fun song, dancing it out, whatever it is that you do to bounce back faster and to allow yourself to continue to move forward and not sit in it, is just such a beautiful opportunity. And I'm so grateful that I learned this lesson in my late 30s and now 40s. As you said, there are people that live a lifetime without figuring this out. So I'm so grateful for you and for the podcast.
Dawn, thank you so much for sharing. Okay, up next is Kristen Stevens. Living just outside Seattle, Kristen is a former preschool teacher who now focuses her energy on teaching yoga to her community, from children to adults to seniors. Kristen hopes to bring mindfulness and breath and body awareness to all. Kristen's favorite episode was episode 10, called For Messy and Imperfect People Only, with Leigh Koechner. Take a listen.
I started listening to 40 Thrive early in 2019. And as I listened, I've been inspired by so many of the guests and so many of the topics. As I near my 50s, I've decided to make a career change and felt I needed as much support as I could get. Through the podcast, I've gotten many tidbits of advice that have helped me through this transition. One episode in particular really resonated with me, and that was back in February with Leigh Koechner. Something about her spoke to me. I related to her stories, her experiences, and her message. Her energy was contagious, and her message made me feel like I was not alone in this change. She reminded me that life can be messy, but that's what makes us unique and bright beings. She talked a lot about how the words we choose become our reality, and how the universe conspires to make our thoughts what we experience. Since then, I've been more mindful in my thoughts and in my words. I come from more of a place of gratitude and openness, to all of the positive changes in my life. She spoke to me so much that in the following months, I took part in a couple of her 33-day online programs in an effort to find my gift and manifest this new path. I am so thankful for Jackie for bringing this group together and giving us the knowledge, the empowerment in the community.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for your feedback. To learn more about Leigh Koechner or to hear that episode, just check out the show notes at 40thrive.com/episode 40. Our next featured listener is Julie Neale. She's the founder of Mother's Quest and the Mother's Quest podcast, where she shines a light on how to live what she calls an epic life. You can find Mother's Quest on any of your favorite podcast apps or join in the conversation and build relationship with other mothers at mothersquest.com/community. Now, Julie and I have something in common here. Her favorite episode was episode number 31, which was How to Act Like a Grown-Ass Woman with Elsie Escobar. Elsie serves as a mentor and inspiration for so many of us podcasters. Take a listen.
Hi, Jackie. This is Julie Neale of Mother's Quest, and I want to first of all congratulate you on 40 episodes of 40 Thrive. And thank you for the conversation that you recorded with my podcasting mentor as well, Elsie Escobar. It was so great to hear Elsie reflect on what she's learned navigating being a moderator of such a big community and she podcasts, and also her role at Libsyn. And the discernment that she's found about when and how to respond, the shifts that she's made in her own social media habits, and also how some of those lessons have transferred into her parenting and her motherhood. The biggest takeaway I have from that episode that I so appreciate is this idea that we are not responsible for our first thought, but we are responsible for our second thought, and to just give ourselves a little bit more pause before we respond in the online space and in our lives. Look forward to tuning into many more of your episodes on this fantastic podcast.
Thank you, Julie, so much for sharing. And our final listener spotlight is Linda Locke. Linda is a writer and aspiring podcaster who focuses on productivity, technology, and living life well. She has an entrepreneurial spirit and started her first business when she was just 10 years old. Linda's favorite episode was episode 35, Over 60 is Hilarious, with Kathy Ladman and Mindy Sterling. I had such a great time doing this episode right by the beach in Santa Monica, California. Take a listen to what Linda thinks.
Hi, Jackie. This is Linda Locke. Congrats on your 40th episode of your 40 Thrive podcast. My most favorite recent episode is episode 35, Over 60 is Hilarious. And I really loved your interview with Kathy Ladman and Mindy Sterling in person. And with them sharing all the amazing things that they've done in their life and the challenges that they've gone through and the different things that have happened to them through their journey in life. I really also liked how they shared their health struggles and issues with breast cancer and other things. Since I'm a breast cancer survivor, that was just really interesting for me to hear. And I also think it's important for women to talk about these things so that it's not as mysterious and scary when they go through something like this themselves. So anyway, that's my favorite episode. I really enjoyed it. And here's to 40 more of the 40 Thrive.
Linda, thank you so much. I really enjoyed recording this episode with Kathy and Mindy, and I'm so glad you liked it. This has been such a fun trip down memory lane for me, and I hope that you have found a few episodes that maybe jump out for you that you can either re-listen to or listen to for the first time or share with a friend. Like I said, this podcast is created with you in mind. If there's a guest you'd love to hear from or a topic you want me to tackle, just send me an email, hello@40thrive.com. Thank you so much for listening and being a supporter of the show. I am absolutely loving doing every one of these episodes for you. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, take care and keep thriving.